with the Business Book Club. And tonight's author is Nic Haralambous with his second book, How to Start a Side Hustle. But before we get into that, just a little bit about the Business Book Club, what we are about. And we are about sharing knowledge. That is our purpose. Our purpose is to share knowledge and to help people, especially in business. You know, business leaders, people who've got their own businesses, leaders in business, and generally just people in business. That's who we help. We firmly believe that you don't know what you don't know. And through sharing knowledge, you have the opportunity to know something different. And when you know something different, you can do something different, because you can only act and behave on what you know. So to set your own benchmarks, you've got to get more knowledge. That's why we at the Business Book Club, we love books. We collect books and we collect book donations. And thank you to every one of our members, everyone that have been to our events, everyone that has dropped off buckets loads of books at our offices. We are forever grateful to you. Over the years, we have collected over 8,000 books, which we have distributed to libraries, less privileged communities and less privileged areas. This coming, Thursday, a week, we are doing another donation of over 1,000 books. And that's thank you to you, our members, who've always been generous in donating books and sharing knowledge, sharing the love that we all have for knowledge and making a difference, making that little dent in the universe and on the planet with a species we called Homo sapiens. That is our species, and we're looking after each other. And tonight we have Nic. Nic, welcome to the Business Book Club. It's great having you here.
Thanks so much, Hugely. Appreciate it.
Nic, so please share with the audience, for those who don't know you, Nic, where does Nic come from? Give us a little bit of a synopsis of the Nic story.
Okay, so the short version of a long and sordid story. I grew up in Joburg, went to school there, taught myself how to code when I was 11, built my first website when I was 12, my first business when I was 16, then studied journalism, politics, philosophy at Rhodes while I was building businesses throughout, ended up working as a journalist against my better judgment, but worked kind of well for me building a network, worked at Financial Mail, Sunday Times, then Mail and Guardian, worked at Vodacom, and then quickly exited the corporate world, raised my first batch of venture capital, and moved to Cape Town to start a tech company, which I sold to Mixit, then built a consulting firm, which I sold to Imperial, and then spent 7 years building a fashion retail business, which I sold in 2019. And for the last 2 years, I have focused my career on writing books and corporate talk. So I'm a professional speaker and have been for 11 years. So at the moment, that's my main drive, is I talk to corporates about how to build more curious cultures and how to beat burnout in their businesses.
Nic, that's an amazing resume. I mean, you definitely have the T-shirt, but I think you've got it a few times. But this is not your first book, Nic. You wrote a previous book. What was that about? Share with our members a bit about that book.
Sure. So that was, so I've been a writer since I can remember. That's why I studied journalism. I wanted to be a war correspondent when I was a kid. Thankfully, I didn't do that because they die. The first book was really a response to the idea of failure in our culture. We just generally shy away from failure in South Africa, and it's a mistake. So the book is titled Do, Fail, Learn, Repeat, which is the way that I've really built my life. Is I do stuff, I fail, I learn lessons, and then I do it again, but with more information. So that book is just a chronological telling of 10 years of back-to-back-to-back failures of myself as an entrepreneur. Trying to help other people understand that failure is something to aspire to, move on from, and get over while you learn lessons and build your next thing. So that was the first book.
Excellent. So Nic, you've obviously shared with us now a few things about your successes with Imperial and Solar, selling your software development company to Mixit. But share with us one or two failures that has really been momentous in in driving or changing who Nic is. Like, always when we do stuff, we don't intend it to fail. We intend to succeed. But once we've taken the lesson from the failure, we change. So what has been your biggest changes from those failures? Or what is the failures that have made the biggest changes for Nic?
Interesting. I think that my approach to failure has always been one of roll with the punches. I've never really seen failure as an end point. I've always seen it as a through point. So I wouldn't say that failures have really refined or defined who I am and how I exist in the world. I think more so the achievement of success has made me understand and appreciate failures more. So exiting 3 businesses sounds glamorous, but it's hard. It's brutal. Building things is brutal. The experience of the journey is much more important to me than the end result and the outcome, because at the end of the day, one of my favorite quotes is, wherever you go, there you are. So success or failure, you are there. You're the person that you're stuck with. So I've kind of had to get comfortable with the idea that the journey should be the thing that you enjoy. And Seth Godin's latest book talks about this, called The Practice, that the practice is actually the work. So I'm less interested, as I've gotten older, looking back on my failures and successes in each failure and success, but more, what has the experience been like while building that thing? And that's kind of informed how I am today. And the example I give you is building my mobile company that I sold to Mixit was brutal. It was 29 or 30 months of stomach ulcer that put me in hospital, kidney stones twice, losing my hair in that period because I was burning myself out. Literally, my stress manifests physically for me. So I'm less interested in the idea of failing and more interested in the concept of getting comfortable with the act of failing so that it isn't catastrophic in your life. So yeah, that's kind of how I see failure.
That's extremely interesting. Nick, is that why you don't have any hair today? Is because of...
Much. Partly genetic and hereditary, but definitely stress. Like, I'm such a high anxiety human being that I've had to work really hard with my psychologist over the last 4 or 5 years to decouple my self-worth from the work that I do so that I can lower my anxiety and stress levels.
Wow. And that brings me to this book, because your book, How to Start a Side Hustle, how you've divided it, I find very interesting. And also the chronological order. So maybe not the first one, but the first, you start this book off with a category called mindset. And you've got 4 categories. So the first one is mindset. And then there's a bunch of stuff about that. Then there's lifestyle. And then there's idea, and then there's hustle. The one that I'm quite interested in, and obviously, you've got those 4 categories. Maybe just take us through those 4 categories briefly. Like, how did you get to 4, not 5, not 6, and why these 4?
Interesting questions. So I've since evolved this 4 categories into what I call the side hustle mile. Your mindset, your ideas, the lifestyle, and the effort that you put in, or the hustle. And really, it's my method of coaching. So I do a fair amount of business coaching, helping entrepreneurs scale their businesses. And what I've learned in 20 years, or now 22 years of building businesses, is really simple. If your mindset isn't right, nothing you build will work. You will not have success if your mind isn't ready to have a business. So people who want to build side hustles, they think that it's easy. Everybody says, be your own boss. You can give yourself leave. You get your time back. And that's bullshit. Like, I've been there. I am there. It's not true. It is hard to be your own boss. It's hard to build a side hustle because you've got responsibilities, commitments in your day-to-day life. So what I try and coach people through, and this book is really just my coaching in written form, is get your mindset right. Be prepared to start a business. Then get your lifestyle right. Talk to your partner. Get them involved in this business. If you one day have to choose between your business and your partner, guaranteed you're going to choose your partner and shut that business down. So rather bring your partner into the experience of what you're building. That means that you have to have a good mindset to be in a good place to talk to your partner in the right way. So everything kind of leads on from get the mindset right, get the lifestyle right. Then which idea are you picking and why? Is this idea short-term profit or long-term profit? Is it something you know, or are you having to learn? Is it in your area of expertise, or is it not? All of these things inform whether this will be successful or not. And the thing that I'm trying to do with this book and my method of coaching and my online courses is help people build sustainable extra income streams. And that word sustainable is key. If your mindset's right, your lifestyle's right, and you're picking the right idea, then there's no ways that you're going to build something that isn't sustainable. But if you aren't mentally prepared, you watch 6 hours of TV a day, you're drunk every single night on weeks, and you can't get out of bed in the morning, how are you possibly going to build a second income stream that complements your existing lifestyle? Your lifestyle is not ready for a business then. So that's why I've structured it in this way, to walk people through my method of building stuff over the last 20 years.
That's amazing. Now, Nic, before we carry on the conversation, I just want to let the audience know that you're welcome to pop questions. There's a chat box. Nic and I will review them, and we'll answer as many as you can, as we can. But you're very, very welcome to ask Nic a question as our conversation progresses. And Nic, before this, before we went live, he said he doesn't mind any question.
Hit me. I'm an open book.
He's pretty open-minded, and you can really give it horns when you ask Nic a question. Nic, so the one thing I enjoyed about your book was the fact that you've got like very practical exercises in it. Now, in your experience, when you work with clients, and let's talk about the mindset portion, the mindset category. What is your biggest surprise that you go like, I can't believe people aren't doing this. I can't believe that, this thing is so obvious and people aren't doing it. And it really is a simple thing that can make a massive difference in setting people up for success through their mindset.
There really just are so many things, and never mind what people are doing or aren't doing. The thing that interests me is more little things that I've built into my life. So the first thing is a big thing, is a worldview. I'm always shocked at how few people have evolved a worldview in which they live. I overthink things. I've got high stress and anxiety. So I've constructed a whole document of what I call Nicisms. Now it's 11 little phrases and concepts that I pass every decision through to help me make decisions quicker and make myself more resilient to these things. So I'm always stunned that people don't have their own worldview. Like, have you thought about how you exist in the world? What matters to you? What does success look like? What's important to you? Do you choose family over friends? Do you choose money over time? Like, what is your matrix of existence? I've literally written a document of 11 things that guide me. For example, one of them is burn it all down if you have to. Sometimes you can't salvage stuff. Sometimes you got to light a match and burn everything down. So when I'm at a crossroads, I look at my Nicisms and I'm like, is it time to burn everything down? And if it is, I do. Great. And then we move on because I've already built this structure. So that helps me make decisions quicker. It helps me not have to weigh every decision on every decision. It makes things a lot simpler for me. And more practically, in the mindset of building, the thing that stuns me is how many people think that they're incompetent. Like, what you are good at, people will want to buy. And I'm stunned constantly by how many people say, oh, you know what, I can do digital marketing, but everybody can do that. No, not everybody can do that. That's a skill you can go and sell and turn into a side hustle. So we don't value the things that we're good at because we're good at them. Just shifting your mind around that and going, oh, maybe someone will want this. And then added to that is talking about the thing that you're building. It's incredible to me how many people strive for perfection. Perfection is perilous. It is absolutely not the thing you should be striving for. You are not a perfectionist. If you think you are, you're using that as an excuse to not do the hard things. If you were a perfectionist, you wouldn't be able to get out of bed in the morning because you can't make the bed perfectly. You can't put your shoes on perfectly. There is no such thing as perfect. Perfectionists is just an excuse not to do. And I'm always stunned at how few people do. Just do. Just stop thinking, stop worrying, and do. And then added to the do, the thing that I've been helping a lot of people with at the moment is, and please bear with me if you're listening to this and you're offended, I'm really sorry, but nobody cares about you. Nobody's waiting for you to succeed. Nobody's waiting for you to fail. Nobody's watching your social media waiting for you to slip up. Nobody cares. And that for me is the most liberating realization of my recent life, that nobody cares. So I may as well say whatever the hell I want, do whatever I want, act in the way that I want, tweet the things that I want. And if they do care and they pissed off, it's going to mean more hits for me. Polarizing people is a good thing. Speaking your mind is a good thing. And that's it. That's the main things that I talk to people about mindset a lot.
Oh, Nick, I like that. I like the fact that, we become our own biggest judges in the process. And that's the biggest problem. And if you literally think about it, I always find my answers in nature, and nothing in nature is perfect. So why do you think you should be? So,
Yeah.
so
There's no perfect way to build a business.
Yeah.
Yeah, there's no perfect way to build a business. And one of my favorite quotes about advice is asking people for advice is like asking a lottery winner which numbers work for them. That's not how it works. You only figure it out by building, by doing. There is no one way to do anything. This is just my way. You can choose to take what you like from it or not. This is just what works for me.
I want to go into that a bit, Nick, with you in a sec. But before we do that, just talk to me about an example. I'm fascinated by this decision tree that you have of burning it down. Give me an example, or share with us an example, just so that we can get clarity on Nick's way of doing things.
Sure. So the sock company that I had, at 1.7 years in, my partner and I asked ourselves, is this the business we really want to be in? Like, are we happy working together on this? She said no. I said no. So we sold it. That was it. There was no conversation to be had. We sold it. We started working to sell it that day. Sometimes you have to burn everything down. You can't salvage it. Relationships. There are good relationships and bad relationships in life. We all try and salvage relationships as if they're the last one we'll ever have. If you don't get on with someone in your life, cut them. There are lots of people in the world. Burn that relationship down, because if it isn't additive, it is subtractive. So you need to make sure that the things you surround yourself with are positive. And if they're not, burn them down. I mean, there's lots more. For example, strong opinions loosely held. That's one of my, I think, number 9 on my list. You've got to have strong opinions about the things you believe in. If you don't have strong opinions, then why believe that thing? But if the facts change, it's a superpower to change your opinion. It's okay. You're allowed to. If America had the ability to change their opinions, there would be less people dying and more people vaccinated. But they don't. This is what I believe, and this is what I will always believe, and I will never change my opinion. It is a superpower to change your opinion. So that's kind of how the decision tree fits in, right? So now I know that one of my Nickisms is strong opinions loosely held. So if I have a strong opinion and someone presents me a new fact, I go back to my opinion and I go, maybe I was wrong. Let me admit that I'm wrong and move on. And then I have a new opinion that I hold strongly until the facts change. This in science is called theory. There are no facts in science. They're all theories, because someone is always working to prove or disprove a theory. The theory of evolution. It's not a fact. It's a fact until someone comes with more detailed information. I mean, theory of evolution is a fact. Let's just be clear, but you know what I mean.
Nick, I definitely get the gist of what you're saying, and I'm loving it. I'm loving the strong opinions loosely held. I mean, I haven't heard that before, but that really, really resonates with me. And that, it drives the concept of being open-minded.
Yeah.
Because being closed-minded means that it's final, it's finito. We're not moving on from this opinion, and there's just no ways that you can evolve as a human, but also in your business. I just find that people continue sometimes with their businesses with a closed-minded mindset, and then go, "Oh shit, how did this happen?" Well, you've got that closed-minded mindset. You've got to change.
Yeah. 100% agree. And this ties in quite closely to the world that we're in right now, in cancel culture and wokeness and, being sensitive, politically correct and all of that. And I recently was watching the Beastie Boys documentary on Apple TV, which really interesting. If you haven't watched it, or if you don't like them even, it's still interesting. But one of the members said something that I love and that is super important, I think, for everybody right now. He said, "I'd rather be a hypocrite than be the same person forever." I'm okay with that. I'm okay with having a strong opinion when I was 16, saying something stupid, looking back and going, holy shit, that was 22 years ago. That was stupid. I've changed. I've evolved. Strong opinions, loosely held. Now I have a new opinion and I don't believe that thing I used to believe. If you believe the same things you believed when you were 16, where have you been? What have you been reading? Why have you not evolved?
Yeah, I guess I always say to my clients, the biggest insult you could ever give a person is to say, "Oh, you've never changed," or "You haven't changed." Which 100%. Is like, oh my gosh, we've worked so hard at this. But Nick, back to your book. So it's about mindset and then lifestyle. And as I was researching your work, I came across some videos that you're busy with, people that you're coaching, that you're working with. And it seems like lifestyle is quite a pertinent thing in doing this whole side hustle, which I guess for a lot of people would be interesting. Side hustle, people say, well, it's about ideas and building a business. What are you stuffing around with my lifestyle for? How can that have an impact? Maybe just give us some examples of where people have changed their lifestyles that you've experienced, where it has had a big impact on their definition of success.
Sure. So I run an online side hustle academy that takes students in every 2 months, 20 to 40 people, and I coach them weekly for 6 weeks. And one of the first cohorts, within 2 weeks, one of my students had quit her full-time job because she was so burned out and distressed, and built 2 side hustles in the remaining 4 weeks, and now is employing herself. That came about because she understood that it's an unsustainable life to work 18-hour days, 7 days a week for somebody else, not making any profit share and grinding out a salary. That's what I mean by lifestyle. Is how do you define success in your life? Is it only monetary? Is it only financial? Is it only career driven? Is the next deadline that you're going towards worth your mental health? I don't think so. And I think that we have, for the last 100 years or so, shifted our understanding of what a successful and wealthy life looks like, and kind of supplanted the things that we thought were good and replaced it with financial success. The only way to get financial success in 2021 is to work 18-hour days, what I call the hustle culture, hustle porn. Gary Vaynerchuk calls it hustle porn, where you brag about how much you work. That kind of lifestyle is unsustainable and will end in burnout and worse. So I try and help people kind of get to the core of how they define success. I call them success and failure triggers. And these inform everything else you do. If your version of success is a massive house with 2 dogs, 3 kids, 2 great cars, amazing. What are you doing today to work towards that? If your version of success is traveling, how are you building a life that supports that? And is there incongruence between what your idea of success is and how hard you're working for that success? If you want to be Elon Musk, well, then you should be working 20 hours a day, 7 days a week, and raising billions of dollars. That's a life that most of us don't want. That's not how I see most people. So I try and help people realign their lifestyles to match up their understanding of success, their abilities, capabilities, and how hard they want to work.
Okay, because I guess that's where people trip up first is with not having the lifestyle to support the idea.
Spot on.
But Nic, how do you find people finding the idea the quickest? Because people can be so tunnel visioned or so overwhelmed in any event with lifestyle and with mindset that the idea, but I guess that's the whole point, is sort that out first and then the ideas will start to come.
Yeah, you very quickly start to figure out if your mindset is geared towards being a bajillionaire and your lifestyle is geared towards working 18-hour days on somebody else's business, but your idea requires 4 to 5 hours of effort a day plus $10 million in funding, there is something that's not going to work. So you have to kind of break these things down. So if your mindset and lifestyle are correct and the idea then doesn't fit in, cool, you get a new idea. So how do I help people come up with ideas? It's stupidly simple. It's not something you've never done before. I basically tell people in my course and in the book to write a pros list. That's it. Write down a pros list. Don't be humble. Don't be arrogant. Just tell me what you're good at. Tell me what assets you have. Tell me what you have at your disposal that you can turn into money. And I mean anything. Can you play an instrument? Can you speak multiple languages? Are you really organized? Do you have a car that you can move stuff around for people? What is at your disposal? Then I ask you to put this idea in context of, do you need short, medium, or long-term income? i.e., do you need money tomorrow? If you need money tomorrow, you have no skills, and your business requires 20 hours a day and $1 million of funding, you're shit out of luck. There is no ways that you are going to be able to build income tomorrow off $1 million idea. However, if you know how to speak multiple languages and you can teach somebody to speak one of those languages you've got an income stream tomorrow if you find someone who wants to learn that language. So we're trying to mix and match what you have at your disposal to turn into a side hustle versus someone's big idea of this billion-dollar startup. I'm not helping people start billion-dollar startups. I don't believe that unicorns are something to aspire to. I believe that fundamentally we have glorified the sacrifice of our mental and physical health to build these big businesses when most of us are flat out incapable of building a billion-dollar business, myself included. I have no interest in hiring 5,000 people. I have no interest in building a billion-dollar business. I want to build a sustainable, profitable, extra income stream. So that's the kind of idea that I help people unpack.
Okay, and that also clarifies who's the audience of your book.
Absolutely. People with a full-time job who want to stack income on their already existing income streams.
Okay. Unless you have somebody that you've already spoken about who changes their lifestyle and goes, stuff the corporate world, but I'm going to build one or two multiple income streams to do something different. Now,
yeah, absolutely.
Okay. So Nic, let's talk about the hustle. So the hustle, okay, so your book is divided, mindset, lifestyle, then it's about creating the idea, and then the fourth part is the hustle. But this is where I find Nic actually walks the talk. So tell me about how did your academy and your hustle idea come about?
So I think it's worth going back to the beginning of why I even wrote this book. I had no real intention of writing this book as my second book. And then COVID kicked in. And I quickly understood that globally, and more specifically in our context, South Africa is going to take a big hit because I think the numbers are ridiculous. Like 80% of people employed are employed by small business in South Africa. And small business was going to be hit the hardest, which meant that a lot of people will be unemployed, businesses will be suffering, people will be looking for ways to earn more income. And I think that we've got this problem in our culture right now that we think that having a job is the same as being able to make money. And that's just not the same. One thing is doing work and getting paid by a business. The other is I have the ability to generate sales and get income. So I figured I should probably help people figure out how to make money. I've got 20 years of experience. Let me pump this book out and publish it and see what happens. So I wrote the book as an ebook, published it myself on my website. It gained enough traction that a publisher saw it, liked it, and wanted to turn it into a real book. So that's what we did. And in February, it came out. And as part of the marketing for this book, I decided not to do traditional marketing. I read a book by Ryan Holiday called The Perennial Seller. If you haven't read it and you want to write a book or produce anything perennially, you should read it. It's phenomenal. He's great. He also writes about stoicism if you're interested in that. And in the book, he says that if you're considering marketing your book in the traditional way in 2021, you may as well take your budget, put it on a table, light it on fire, film that, put it on social media, and you will get more coverage than if you traditionally market your book. And I thought, damn, what am I doing that's different? So I took what budget I would have spent on the book marketing, and I started a nonprofit company called the Slow Fund and decided to give away 1,000 Rand every single day until I ran out of money, plus 30 minutes of coaching, and start as many side hustles that I could. And that's what I did. So I now have a nonprofit company with contributors like Nedbank and Missing Link and a whole bunch of incredible businesses who are helping me fund side hustles. To date, we have funded over 100 side hustles. I've launched an online academy where I teach people how to start side hustles. I do workshops once a month on various topics, and all of it just from a book.
Wow. So, I always love people who actually eat their own dog food. Not just talking about what to do, but actually doing that. So, Nic, well done, and congratulations on that.
Thank you.
I see that Helene Smith, I've got a question for you there, Nic. It says, I've often have clients saying to me, I found out one of my team members have a side business. I'm all for entrepreneurship and side hustles, but how would you as Nic respond to that question? And I guess, that's, I've also had those experiences where people have got side businesses and almost like frowned upon. Like, if you've got a side business, how much time are you going to spend at work? And how much of the work resources are you now using for that? What's your worldview on that?
Firstly, thanks for the question, Linky. So I'm going to make a call that I've made publicly before. I think within 5 years, any business that doesn't allow people to build side hustles is going to lose the battle for talent. I don't think that the smartest people you are talking to in your businesses aren't thinking about building stuff or building stuff already. They're just not telling you. So why not augment and use that talent to build side hustles adjacent to or parallel to your business that you can invest in as a startup or a founder or an entrepreneur? Why not use their skills to enhance your revenue streams, to increase your business prospects, to give you a diverse look at your own company and the opportunities in front of you? If you're a leader of a business and you think you're the smartest person at your company, you're in trouble. You should always be hiring and working with people smarter than you, more gifted than you at different things, and then allow them to flourish. If you think that you're the best person to do every job in your company, you got problems. So my response to Linky is let them flourish, but set the terms of engagement very clearly. Don't use company property. Don't poach our staff. Don't poach our clients. Then run wild. Use me. Let me help you build this thing. And then when it takes off, bring it into the business or spin it out as its own entity and help them build this incredible new business. I think this is fundamentally a shift about abundance thinking or scarcity thinking. Are you an entrepreneur who wants to prevent people from growing and doing, or want to help enable people to grow and do?
And I went on to your .org website, and you've got a button there called Community, which if you click on it, you obviously go into. And I love the notion of that. It's not login. The button is Community, because that's what you're promoting. You're promoting the effect of, and that's really what your answer is saying here is, let's rather support each other from a community value system, being okay with the fact that people are doing different things, but saying, how do we make this work for all of us, which is really the essence of community. And Nic, well done for embracing that concept.
Thank you.
In such an amazing way. And we've got another question there. Innocent Burger, is the work from home trend helping or hindering side hustles? Good question.
Hi, Innocent. Good question. It's a great point, and it is absolutely setting the world of side hustles on fire. The truth here is most people who have worked from home in the last while have realized that they don't need 8 or 9 hours to do their work. Mm-hmm. Sad but true. There's a fantastic story over the last 2 years that came out of a senior software developer who had jobs at both Facebook and Google and was doing both of his jobs effectively in an 8-hour day, and neither of the other one knew. That is how little he needed to work until they found out and obviously fired him. But the point here is, I think that the work from home movement is helping people understand, one, that they need to diversify their income streams. Two, they have the ability to reach a global audience. And three, they can do it in their spare time as a more productive way to use their time than watching TV. And this is something I get all the time, and it's worth me mentioning now. Most people's number one roadblock when they come to me is, I don't have time to build a side hustle. My response is really simple. You don't have a time problem. You have a priority problem. Stop watching Netflix, stop chilling, and start using your time more effectively.
I love that, because I always say, everybody has got 24 hours in a day. So what's the difference between somebody that's successful and somebody that is not successful? It has got nothing to do with time. It all has to do with, and the big thing is obviously the priority thing.
Priorities, yep.
So Nic, share with us a bit more of your learnings from your organization. You're talking about actually doing a side hustle, and you're publicly doing a side hustle as well. Share with us a bit about your learnings. Was it as easy as your book says it is, or did Nic almost catch himself out on one or two things and go, "Oh my God, this is actually a bit different"? That also happened.
It's been an interesting trip. So this is the third cohort of students that I've taken through this 6-week program. And with this one, I decided that I was going to build the side hustle with them, as well as lecturing and coaching them all through. I decided to build a side hustle, and I'm building, for those of you interested, these are anti-nausea motion sickness glasses. I get violently ill and have done for years. So I am selling those, right? That was the goal. The idea on the program is get you from idea to sale in 6 weeks. And to verify and validate this, I just want you to make one sale. That's the goal. One sale means that you have gone from, I had an idea, I built a business, and now I'm selling it to people. So I decided to publicly talk about it, publicly build it, talk about how much money I'm spending, what tactics I'm using. Firstly, to show my students that, yes, this is viable. And secondly, to show other people that you don't need to take my course to get over your own stuff and just build. So the basic premise is you don't need bureaucracy to build a business. You don't need to register a domain name. You don't need to register a business name. You don't need to get a logo designed. What you need to do is get out of your own way and sell something. So that's kind of what I was trying to do. And I didn't catch myself out because even if I fail, I still learn stuff. This goes back to the concept of reframing failure in your life. So week one, I decided to tell people what I was doing. I had secured the rights I contacted the CEO of this business, secured the rights to distribute, ordered 6 pairs, built a Shopify website, launched some Google ads, and posted about it on social media. And on Saturday this week that just passed, I made my first sale in under 6 weeks. And now I have a viable business.
That's amazing.
And look, I'm not an anomaly. So of my students, the last cohort call was just before this one. There are, give or take, 20 people on this cohort. And of them, almost all of them, I'd say 90% of them have either made a sale or are launching and talking publicly about their businesses from Friday. So the hit rate of can you get from an idea to a business in 6 weeks is basically 100% if you do what I'm asking you to do, which is stop wasting time, stop trying to write a business plan, stop putting bureaucratic roadblocks in your way, and just answer these 3 questions. This is as simple as it gets, and I talk about these in the book. What are you selling? Who are you selling to? Where do you find them? That's it. That's it. That's your business plan. Then go get the products, go get the people, and go talk to them.
As simple as that, Nic.
It really is. Why shouldn't it be, right? Go back 200 years. Did they have the internet? Did they have business plans? No. They had a product that they could make themselves. Then they went to the people and said, do you need this product? And they said, yes. And then they sold it. That's how businesses run. We have overcomplicated it to make people feel like entrepreneurship is for other people. And it's not. It's for everyone.
So Nic, just out of interest, I mean, of these 20 cohorts, how many of them were actually internet type businesses, and how many of them were internet type businesses?
Interesting question. In fact, not a lot of them. A lot of them are service-based businesses, coaching, consulting, taking what they do at their day job and spinning out and hitting up a different industry or vertical. One of my students in the first cohort built a biscuit business, and in the middle of lockdown, took a family shortbread recipe, baked the biscuits in week 2, and in week 3 went to a coffee shop and started selling them. And to this day, a year and a half later, still sells shortbread. We've had in this current cohort, someone made a chocolate bomb business where you can now buy chocolate bombs, where you put them in a cup of boiling milk and it explodes with some stuff in the middle. So lots of really interesting, different, diverse businesses, which leads me to the idea comment. Everybody thinks their idea is special and someone's going to steal it. And everybody's got their own ideas. Just talk about your idea publicly as much as you can, and somebody will buy from you. If you protect it too close to your chest, nobody's going to know it even exists. And that's a big part of what I tell people to do is stop overthinking this. Just tell people what you do and someone is going to buy it from you.
Somewhere, because there's actually a lot more people than what we think there is. And there is enough people that would be interested in something that you do.
Absolutely. The phrase that I use for that to help people understand this is niche doesn't mean small. Niche means specific. So go for a niche, be specific, talk to those people and sell to them.
Nic, how often do you get the question about, going back to your lifestyle topic, about people asking you about a balanced lifestyle? Like how do I maintain the side hustle and have a balanced lifestyle? Do you get that question?
Constantly, from executives that I coach who have 300 million rand businesses down to the person starting out a side hustle who's got a job. And it is a lie. I think balance is a lie that we've been sold. There is no such thing as balance. There is choices, there is integration, and there is conflict all the time. So I think the analogy that I've kind of stumbled onto is we think of balance as a seesaw, that we have to make the seesaw balance perfectly. But that's actually not true. In fact, what we're trying to do is balance plates. You know those acts where people spin plates? You've got a balancing act that you need to perform. All your plates are spinning at the same time. Some of them are made from glass. Some of them are made from paper. So some are more important to keep up because if you drop them, they'll break and shatter. Some are less important to keep up. Some you give attention to and spin this way and they stay spinning. And then you stop giving them attention and you give your attention to something else and spin this one. That's the kind of balance you should be looking for. How do you integrate all the things into your life? By choosing your priorities carefully and working on the things at the certain time that make sense to you. You know, this idea of a reason for being, you know what I'm like, there's an ikigai, which I talk about in the very front of the book.
Yes.
I don't believe in a reason for being. I believe in a reason for being right now. I don't believe in balance. I believe in a balance you can strike right now. And I do think it's possible if you figure out your ambitions and relate them to how much time you have and how much effort you can put in and how much knowledge you have, you get to a point where there's some kind of equilibrium, but only temporarily. Eventually, it's going to be out of sync, and then you just have to reassess your priorities again.
So how many side hustles would you recommend somebody should be starting at one time?
One.
And how would I know when to start the next one?
You need to, in the book, I talk very clearly about success and failure triggers. So you need to have achieved your success trigger or your failure trigger before you move on to the next one. For example, if your success trigger is to earn 10,000 Rand a month from your side hustle, when you do that, ask yourself, can I scale this business to 20 or 30? Do I want to reset my success trigger? Or can I put somebody else into this business to run it? Or does it run on its own? If it does, great. Start your second side hustle after you've spent enough time making sure that this one works. Your failure trigger, conversely, is I'm going to invest 5,000 Rand in this business. If I don't make that 5,000 Rand back in 6 weeks, I'm going to start a new business. Cool. Then do that. But be vigilant about setting and sticking to those success and failure triggers. Without a shadow of a doubt, you cannot build two side hustles at the same time if you are not a seasoned builder of businesses. I would say that I probably can. Even I would have some trouble at some points, and I'd have to pick one because you cannot give your attention to a full-time job, your family, your mental health, your physical health, and 3 side hustles and expect them all to work. That is la la land stuff.
Nic, I love it. And I think your book, How to Start a Side Hustle, has come at such an opportune time. And I know it actually wasn't your intention, but the fact that it did, I think has given a lot of people, in a sense, freedom from some of the thoughts that keep them prison, because that's ultimately what it is. It's your thoughts that keep you prison. And I think your book is really, really an amazing way to break out of that prison and to give yourself a bit of leeway and saying, well, maybe I could take a bit of charge of my own destiny. So if I am one of those people who go like, shit, man, I'm in this prison, I need to get out. How do I contact Nic? How do I get hold of his book? How do I get to know more so that I can create a bit of freedom and get out of this dark hole that I'm in?
So many ways. I have just typed my website into the chat. That is nharry.com, nharry.com. Go check out my websites. I have links to my YouTube channel and my LinkedIn, where I do most of my content. My YouTube channel, every week, at least one video where I talk about business lies that people tell each other, how to improve your own mental game when you're a business owner, that sort of stuff. Then my LinkedIn is where I do most of my thinking and posting every single day at around about 8:30 in the morning. Every morning, I will post something for you to ponder. I have a newsletter that you can find at my website, nharry.com. And if you go to slowhustle.org, you can find all of my online courses and the work that I'm doing there. And my third book comes out in February next year, called The Business Builder's Toolkit. And it's targeted at a broader market of business owners and entrepreneurs and how to do things that slightly improve their days, lives, and businesses.
Nic, that is absolutely fantastic. We'll be sharing this interview with our audience, and obviously links to these to the resources and how to get hold of you, Nic, because I really think you're a savior in a sense, just helping people unlocking what they already have, and making them think about stuff differently. That's really what the Business Book Club is about. It's about sharing that knowledge, thinking differently. Because once you can think differently, you have the opportunity to do things differently. And we don't deserve, life's too short. Through these times where a lot of us have, perhaps said goodbye to people that we love dear, and we realize how short life is, and we need to live a life of purpose. So, being stuck in a rut is not what you deserve. You deserve that side hustle. So be in contact with Nic. Get hold of his book. Go to his website. Make sure that, you go through his stuff. He's got a lot of free stuff available. And when you're done with the free stuff, join his course. It sounds like this is amazing. Nic, I want to thank you from the Business Book Club for joining us here tonight, for sharing your knowledge with us. And we really, really want to wish you just all the best. May your side hustles become empires.
Thank you so much.
Together. It was absolutely fantastic having you here. And we're looking forward to maybe interviewing you on that third book of yours.
Absolutely. Look forward to it too. Thanks, Jacques.
Great. Nic, have a blessed evening. Thanks a lot for joining us. Cheers.